So let's talk about Black Panther for a second. This was a massive movie. We made a documentary specifically centered around this film, and there was a lot of spiritualism in this movie, but once again, he's on the side of the Avengers, right? So we thought it would be appropriate to discuss him in this context. In the very beginning of the Black Panther, it's describing how he became the Black Panther.
A warrior shaman received a vision from the Panther goddess Bast, who led him to the heart-shaped herb, a plant that granted him superhuman strength, speed, and instincts. The warrior became king and the first Black Panther.
What's a shaman?
It's like a witch doctor type.
Witch doctor, right? Someone who uses witchcraft and sorcery, and so he meets a witch doctor, someone who has sorceress powers, and he goes and talks with Bast, an ancient Egyptian cat god, who gives him a piece of fruit to give him superpowers. Now, I can think of another story where an animal told you to eat a piece of fruit to give you superpowers. What's that?
That's a serpent. Yeah.
That's the devil. I mean, literally right here, every single Christian should have walked out of the movie right here and said, hey, that's the story of the devil. But nonetheless, a lot of people stuck around. Bast is the ancient Egyptian cat god. And even on Marvel's website, it talks about in this necropolis, the city, the Wakandan city of the dead, right? What does necro mean? Dead. Polis means city. So in the city of the dead, that's where the Black Panthers go to die. When you ruled as the king of the dead, I mean, this is like the king of the dead. It even says he's an unconquered king of kings, lord of lords. I mean, those are names that are reserved for God, yet he's the king of the dead. God is not the king of the dead. He's the king of the living. That's why they call him the living God. So this is opposite of God, right? Isaiah 8:19 through 20 tells us, if we're going to look at the world through biblical eyes, to the law and to the testimony, if it speaks not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them, right? It has to line up with the Bible, otherwise it's not worth your time. That's basically what that's saying. So let's talk about when he meets his father, who's dead, and he goes through a ritual that sends him into this space where he can then go talk to the dead panthers. And in here, we have the panther sitting inside of the tree, and as he approaches the tree, the panther comes down and talks with him. I find it, once again, very interesting that we have a tree and an animal coming down to give you a piece of advice out of that tree. I'll let you sit and think on that for a little bit. Leviticus 26, though, says, and the soul that turneth after such that have familiar spirits, after wizards, to go a-whoring after them, I will set my face against that soul and cut him off amongst his people. Listen, witchcraft and sorcery is a very serious matter in the Bible. Yep. You do not, as a Christian, want God to tell you he's going to set his face against you. God is very merciful. He is very patient. But there are things that will push him past that mercy and patience. Witchcraft, look at the stories in the Bible. Turn through and just read the chapters that happened in the Old Testament. Anyone that constantly struggled with witchcraft and sorcery, they were literally sent out of the camp, and God said, this is severe enough. Don't even have them around you. Take them outside. Put them outside of your group.
The Witch of Endor story. In most cases, put to death.
Put to death, right? That's how serious it was in the Bible. So I believe it's as serious then as it is now for us. So anything with witchcraft and sorcery, turn it off. Don't even watch it, right? In the comic book for Black Panther, here's Black Panther talking with Bast. That's closer to Baphomet. I mean, literally, he's going and meeting with Baphomet to become the Black Panther. And as he meets with this Bast god, that's where Bast tells him, you're going to be the king of the dead. And Bast talks to him and says this line that we read from earlier, that you will be with all of the past Panthers when they go to die. You'll be a crowned and unconquered king of kings. I mean, those names that are only reserved for God. He opens up Black Panther's third eye, and that's what really gives him the power to be the Black Panther. And then here's the Black Panther totally talking to all of the other dead Black Panthers to give them counsel. He says, hey, listen, I call upon the name of Bast. I call upon you for counsel. We're never supposed to call upon the spirits, right? There's tons of examples in the Bible where people called upon the spirits and it was disastrous. Leviticus 19:31 says, "Do not turn to mediums or necromancers to seek after them and to make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God." The Bible's very clear on necromancy, speaking to the dead, sorcery, witchcraft, any of that kind of stuff. It says that it will make you unclean. And if you're a Christian seeking for Christ's righteousness, this is not something that you even want to observe in a film.
Yep.
Now, I find it very interesting that after the Black Panther goes and speaks to that Bast-looking character, Bast tells him that there's coming days, a great fire in the sky. And, you know, it's like a fire in the sky that's coming to destroy the world. Looks very much like a second coming, but from an evil perspective, right? And it says the great fire will bring about a great flood and the Wakandan walls will break. The city of the dead will fall. And that's what the Bible talks about. Revelation, you know, Babylon will fall. There will be a time that this happens.